Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to Walking with God. I'm your host, Kyle Walker, and it is Tuesday, September 4th, 2018. Thank you so much for joining me. We are back to our normal night and our normal time. I do apologize again for last week, but hey, commitments are commitments. So we had to do what we had to do. So thank you for everyone who joined me last Wednesday. The show last week on coping was very well received. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. As always, another update because I like to celebrate our victories that we have on this show. The episode 2 weeks ago with Joe, who just checked in. What's up, Joe? The episode there is almost to 20,000 views. It is now our most viewed episode by a lot, by over 5,000. So congrats to Joe, who's now watching, and thank you for everyone who tuned in. It was a very important show, a good topic, and so I'm really glad that it's been well received and well watched. Oh, Joe likes my hat. Thank you. It's a Chiefs hat on the other side. Instagram folks, you will see this at the end of the show. Again, on Instagram, wwg.kw, and you can get to our Instagram account. So that is, again, a celebration of something that really happened. We have a new best watched show, and that was 2 weeks ago, where we talked about what if the church hurts you. So thank you, everyone, so much. Joe will be back with Amy, and that's going to be in 2 weeks from tonight. And again, what we talked about last time, this is still the case. The topic they're going to cover, unless we're told differently, is going to be, isn't it closed-minded to think that Jesus is the only way to heaven? And that was a listener-requested topic. And so we're going to cover that in 2 weeks with Joe and Amy, which is really the easiest work that I could ever do. I just turn on the camera and say, go. So that is what they are going to be tackling in 2 weeks. And speaking of tackling, another awesome Kyle segue, that is what we're going to be talking about tonight. So the NFL returns in about 48 hours. All right, so Thursday night football is the big opening to the NFL season. And you got the Atlanta Falcons. They're going to go play the Philadelphia Eagles, the Super Bowl champions. And so my big question to you, are you excited? Are you ready for the return of NFL football? Let's be real honest. The NFL has not had the greatest last 2 years in all of sports. It's been a rough time. Are you still a fan? You still a fan of the NFL? Still a fan of the old pro football? How about Nike? Nike had a rough day today. Are you still a fan of Nike? It's been a little rough for them in the old stock market. According to MarketWatch.com, they had the single biggest drop of any company today. So are you still a big Nike fan? Let's see. In case you missed the news today, if you, for whatever reason, didn't hear it, I'm sorry. Nike unveiled their new 30-year anniversary of the Just Do It. Their slogan, Just Do It. It's a 30-year anniversary of that slogan, and so their new ad features one NFL player or former NFL player named Colin Kaepernick, as many of you will know. So Colin Kaepernick, he's the former quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. All right, and he gained a lot of notoriety, maybe some fame, maybe some venom for the stance that he took back in 2016, where he was at least the first big publicized player who kneeled during the national anthem. So again, unless you've really been living under a rock, you probably already know who he is and what that's about. So Kaepernick, just giving you a little background here, he was released after the 2016 season from the 49ers, and that was the same year that he started his protesting. He was never signed by another NFL team. And so Kaepernick actually has a lawsuit going against the NFL claiming that the owners are trying to blackball him or keep him out or whatever you want to say. And the reason that he states that he started the kneeling is because of the racial injustice, as he put it, in the United States between the police and just the authority figures of that. So you can look that all up. I'm not going too deep into that, but that's just the real brief picture of who Kaepernick is and why he's kind of important. So Nike has kept Colin Kaepernick under contract as an endorsed player since 2016. And of course, they've not featured him in any of their ads for about 2 years until today. And so today they released the aforementioned 30-year Just Do It anniversary ad that features Kaepernick, and then the words or the phrase, the slogan, whatever you want to call it, that they're going with is, and I quote, "Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything," end quote. That is the ad. That is the slogan. I let you do with that what you will. So that's where we are right now. Okay, Nike released that today. Their stocks plummeted. Whatever you think about Kaepernick, I'm sure that is why people think that this has happened. So for 2 years, the NFL has been trying to handle the whole national anthem issue since Kaepernick started this. And Commissioner Roger Goodell, he has just been blasted on all sides for the NFL's handling of the national anthem situation. So the NFL during this offseason, they came up with the following rule. And again, I quote, "The policy said that players had the option to stay in the locker room, but everyone on the field had to stand and show respect to the flag and the anthem," end quote. And then teams would be fined by the NFL for any violations. That was the rule they came up with this year. And of course, they quickly backtracked on that as the NFL Players Union jumped all over them immediately. And so the NFL said, "Oh, no, that's not what we're going with. Never mind. Forget we said anything. Just kidding. Mulligan, take it back. Whatever." And then our last piece of this little puzzle here is now ESPN, who airs Monday Night Football. They have decided that they're just not going to air the national anthem. Like they're not going to put it on TV. It will happen, of course, at the stadiums, but ESPN is not going to film it and then show it to everybody at home. So that is their stance on it. So there we have it. That's where we are. The NFL has reported losing money, hand over fist for the last 2 years. Nike took a huge stock dive today, and you've seen the videos by now, I'm sure, on Snapchat and Facebook of people out there burning their Nike apparel. And I'm just going to sidetrack on that here in just a moment. And then ESPN, of course, has received huge backlash for saying that they're not going to air the national anthem. So where does that leave us? Well, that leaves us still 48 hours from the start of the NFL football season. But again, I want to ask you, are you excited for it? Let me know. You can fire off in the chat room here. Let me even scroll a little, just make sure I don't miss anything. But I'm curious to know if you're even looking forward to this season, because I know that these three factors, the ESPN, now the Nike, and the Colin Kaepernick, I guess 4 factors, and the kneeling, has really turned a lot of people off to the football season. So again, I'm curious on if people are actually excited for this. And if you're listening to the podcast version of this or listen or watch it on Facebook, but after the show is aired, then you can leave your comments on the Facebook page, or you can email us through the website and let me know what you think, because I'm always curious. And so I'm gonna share with you kind of what I think about the issue, because you're on here watching me and listening to me, so I guess I had to tell you what I think, right? If my notes don't fall over. So from here on out, this is going to be my opinion. This is just what I think on it. And people have told me, and I mentioned this last week, people asked, they want me to kind of branch out on what we cover on this show, maybe sometimes getting away from the areas of divorce. So here is my first attempt at doing so. And I'll start off by saying, and this is no secret, I'm not a fan of Colin Kaepernick. I'm really not. I didn't think he was a very good quarterback when he was in the league, and I don't personally care for his stance in regard to the national anthem. I don't believe in the kneeling. That being said, he has absolutely every right to kneel during the national anthem, as does any active football player on the sideline before the game. They all have the right to do that. I don't like it. I don't agree with it, but they absolutely have the right to do it. So I personally, of course, I stand for the national anthem, and I stand because of every man and woman who died to protect our freedoms and to protect those players' ability to choose what they do during the national anthem. They died so people could either stand or kneel during the playing of that song. I choose to stand, and that's kind of what I think, my personal opinion, is one of the beauties of this country, is that you have those people who are willing to pay that price so that we can have this conversation today, really, amongst many other conversations. So, while we can all certainly disagree with the other side and the reasons for doing either thing, I personally am not a fan of all this hatred and venom that is being spewed forth, especially today with Nike jumping on board because of this. I think that it's detrimental to what we're trying to do here as a country. And again, over over something like football. Now, I get the kneeling is kind of a bigger picture than just the game itself. I understand that, but the football is what brought this to light, and that's why it's even a conversation today. So, we teach our kids not to bully, right? We teach them, hey, don't go to school and yell at people who are different, and don't go to school and be mean to the people who are different from you and might think differently from the way you do. Yet that's what we teach our kids. But then you look at all of us on the social media aspect, or we look at each other on ESPN talk shows or on talk radio, sports radio, and look at what we're doing to each other. Look at the bullying that's going on between grown people over a game, over a football game, and the players who play it. I'm not going to call anyone a name because they happen to agree with Kaepernick. I know plenty of people who do. I play softball with people who do. You think we've ever gotten into a big fight and started hurling insults at each other over it? Of course not. We're grown-ups. But we're setting our kids to these standards that we're not even willing to follow ourselves, which is mildly ridiculous if you kind of look at it. But that's one of the things that we teach our kids. And we need to hold ourselves to the same higher standards. So let's not pretend like people aren't getting in big brouhahas about Kaepernick or the NFL or Nike just today. So, during the heyday of Kaepernick back in 2016, what were the things that you saw? Okay, we saw videos of people taking their number 7 49ers jerseys, and they're out in their backyard, and they're setting them on fire, they're tearing them up, they're destroying them, they're so angry at him for what he's doing. Okay, what do we see today? We see people taking their new Nike Jordans out into the parking lot and dousing them with lighter fluid and setting them on fire, and people are cutting the swoosh logo off of their socks, and they're just acting all sorts of fool with their Nike products. But the one thing that I really want to throw out there on that, how many people do you think went out and lit their stuff on fire and burn their new Jordan sneakers and burn their jerseys? How many people do you think actually went and did that didn't record it and post it to some sort of social media? Who went and did that and didn't put it on Snapchat? Who went and did that and didn't put it on Facebook or didn't tweet about it? Let's not kid ourselves. The mass majority of people are not out there destroying merchandise. But the ones who are, of course, are trying to get their 15 minutes of fame from it. And so they're recording it and they're snapping it. And that's what SportsCenter is picking up. And that's what people are seeing. So this big public outcry, I would look at the stock market drop for Nike more than I would look at people cutting up their socks, because the vast majority of people are not doing that. So again, that was just kind of my opinion on the whole, let's set our own stuff on fire. So now, do I believe that Kaepernick's original reason for kneeling has merit? I do. Are there racial injustices in this country? Yes, there are. You bet your bottom dollar there is. All right, there are racial injustices committed every day by every conceivable race that there is, and that is just a sad fact of life. All right, and I know that some get more press than others, but trust me, they're happening all the time and everywhere by everyone, sadly. And that's a very broad generalization, I understand. There are absolutely bad cops out there that do bad things. There are also good cops out there that do wonderful things. There are bad people out there that do bad things. There are great people out there that do great things. All right, I personally, just me, I back the badge as it is, okay? I don't think the cops have an easy job by any stretch of the imagination. I support our police force because I know the job that they do is something that I couldn't do. There's no way I could be a police officer. None at all. I am just not made up for that, and I am very thankful for the people who are. Okay, but I know mistakes happen, and I know that good people and bad people are capable of doing the wrong thing. All right, that happens on both sides of the badge. All right, bad people do bad things, good people do good things, good people do bad things, bad people can do good things. It's just how we work in this country. So I'm not saying that his protest is without any merit, because there's absolutely truth behind it. Okay, so is Nike wrong for using Kaepernick in the ad campaign? You know, our opinion can be yes or no, but really Nike had a right to use him. He was an athlete under contract with them. He is an endorsed athlete by Nike. They had every right to use him. But again, let's look at what the stocks do as opposed to what we're seeing on the social media in regards to maybe judging this situation more fairly. If you don't like that Nike used Kaepernick, don't buy Nike. It's the same thing like a little while back when Dick's Sporting Goods decided, hey, we're not going to sell. I know they're not selling the AR-15s, but I think they had a more broad restriction, and I'm sorry I didn't research it, so I'm not sure what it was. Maybe no semi-automatic weapons, no weapons that hold X amount of bullets, whatever the case might be. They are reporting losses for their quarter since making that decision. The people have spoken, and they didn't go out and set their Dick's Sporting Goods socks on fire. They just stopped shopping at Dick's, and that speaks more volumes than anything that you can put on your 20 seconds of Snapchat. Again, my mistake, or my opinion. So do we need to go burn all our Nike equipment? I'm going to go with no. Let me offer you an alternative. And I've seen this floating around social media, and I agree with it 100%. So if you want to go boycott Nike, go right ahead. I'm not a huge Nike fan anyway. I kind of become more of a fan of Under Armour myself. But however, anyway, big however, do not dump all the Nike gear. Okay, don't throw it in the trash, and definitely don't go set it on fire to record it. If you really are so disenchanted with Nike, take your new and lightly worn gear and donate it to a homeless veteran outreach program. Seriously, you think there's not a ton of homeless veterans right now who couldn't use a good pair of shoes, who couldn't use some high quality sports socks, who couldn't use either a cool weather shirt or a warm weather shirt? You know that they can. So if people are really going to just be done with Nike, then you know what? By all means, donate all your Nike stuff that you don't want anymore to a homeless veteran outreach program and let it go to people who need it. Okay? You're done with your Nike stuff and you help out veterans. Again, these are the veterans who some people think Kaepernick was insulting with his kneeling. So there you go. There's a big old take that to Kaepernick in the NFL if you go and give your Nike stuff to a homeless veteran. Just my personal opinion. So here we stand with the dilemma in front of us. You have to decide what to do about these three things. Are you still going to watch the NFL? Yes, no. Do you support or do you object to Colin Kaepernick? Again, your decision. And do you want to boycott Nike or do you support them? All right, those are the things facing us. And ultimately, I'm not going to tell you which way to go. You can do what you want. And again, part of the beauty of this country. And I'm sure that people are going to accuse me of just kind of writing that line in the middle, because I absolutely see the benefits and the drawbacks to both sides, as I think most rational adults do, and not the people who are being broadcast on the news. So here's what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm going to watch the NFL when my Chiefs are on, because that's what I watch anyway. I don't agree with the kneeling of the national anthem, but I'm also not going to let that take away the joy that I get when I'm watching football. I love to just watch football. I watch my Chiefs. I root for them. My daughters have red and yellow Chiefs pom-poms that they like to mess around with during the games. And we watch the football game. We watch the Chiefs because that's our hometown team. That's what we care about. The fact that a player kneeled in San Francisco is not going to deter me from watching the game that I enjoy. So, let's move on to Colin Kaepernick. I don't support him, and I don't support his stance towards the national anthem. I feel that way too many people have died for this country to not honor them and show respect that they deserve. All right, I completely support his freedom to do so. He can do as he pleases. But as I am free to stand, he is free to kneel, and you're free to decide whatever you want to do when it comes to the national anthem. Don't let an athlete dictate what you do. If you want to kneel, kneel. If you want to stand, stand. You do what feels right to you. Now, you can let a talking head on your computer dictate what you can do. I will absolutely allow that. And then lastly, will I be purchasing anything from Nike? No, but I don't purchase Nike stuff anyway. So it doesn't change my decision at all. I haven't bought anything Nike in a long time. Am I wearing a Nike shirt? No, I don't think so. No, I'm kidding. I got this at Walmart. They don't sell Nike. But I'm not going to dig out any of my old Nike stuff. I'm not going to go searching through things to maybe find that one Nike t-shirt that I have in order to set it on fire or to dump it or whatever the case might be. That seems a little excessive to me. And then another thing I wanted to go over. So I got sent a meme today, a meme, whatever we call them these days. And it was someone kind of poking fun at this situation. And it was funny. Don't get me wrong. But it brought up something that I had more or less, I wouldn't say forgot about, but something that's not brought up as much anymore. And again, I'm not trying to be insensitive in any way, shape, or form. I am simply bringing this up as the meme brought it to my head. And it was the whole, if you remember back from probably right when this Kaepernick thing all started, the whole Black Lives Matter, the BLM movement versus the people with the All Lives Matter. Okay, and there was a big brouhaha because if the people said all lives matter, the other side thought, well, that means you don't agree that Black Lives Matter. Well, to be real honest, I kind of sided with all lives matter. I think all lives do. Black, white, yellow, everywhere in between, whatever color you want to throw out there. I really think that every life matters. And I don't at all want to discount the BLM movement because I'm sure it has done a lot of good for a lot of people. But like I said, I did kind of side with the all lives matter. And now, because this show is called Walking with God, I just wanted to throw out a few maybe scriptures that kind of back up that, JC was kind of all about everyone, not just one group, but he was really all about all of us. And so here's just the few that I found. And I know that Joe, if he's still on here, could probably throw out 20 more. But like I've got 1 John chapter 4, verse 7 through 8. It says, "Beloved, let us love one another, for love is from God, and whoever loves has been born of God and knows God. Anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love." That's a little hard to read. I can read that 3 times in a row fast, but I mean, look at it. God is love. And it's not just love for one group, it's love for everybody. Romans 12, verse 10, "Love one another with brotherly affection. Outdo one another in showing honor." Now imagine what it would look like if we all tried to outdo each other by showing each other honor, by showing each other love. Instead of everything that we throw at each other and all the venom that we spew, imagine if we wanted to outdo each other in basically how kind we were. And that's just what Joe has revised Joe version. That's revised Kyle version right there. And then we have, John 13, verse 34 and 35. And we've all heard this one. "A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another just as I have loved you. You also are to love one another. By this all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." And again, that's love for everyone. All right, for all lives. And that's where I come up with my basis for saying that all lives matter, because they do. And it says so. It says so right there in John 13. All right. So we just need to love on one another. It doesn't matter if you're with the kneeling or if you're with the standing. If you're with ESPN, you're against ESPN. If you love watching the NFL, if you couldn't stomach seeing another game, that's fine. That's fine. You do you. But let's not rip each other apart because of the decisions that we decide to make for ourselves. All right, let's love one another. Let's outdo each other with the love and respect that we show each other. And how cool would that look? So if you want to watch football, you watch football. I'm going to watch me some football. Probably going to happen. Going to watch Chiefs. Go KC, because that's what I do. All right, but I'm not going to let a kneeling player or a TV station or a shoe company dictate the enjoyment that I take out of things in my life. They don't have that power. Right? The only person who has the power to make me happy is me and Big Man. Okay, I'm not leaving it to those people. They can do what they want, and it's up to me on how I'm going to respond to it and how I'm going to let it affect me. I am not going to let it take away the joy and excitement and just the mind-numbing fun that I get from watching football. Go Chiefs. So that's it. That is my first foray into tackling a completely non-divorce subject, completely non-parenting, completely non-relationship type issue. So yay, there we go. Hopefully it wasn't terrible. I would love any feedback that you feel like giving me. I kind of feel like the chat room kind of died on me here. So hopefully I'm even still on the air. The clock is still ticking, so I think that I am. So that's going to do it for our Colin Kaepernick NFL ESPN Nike version of the show. Hooray! If you want to sound off and you don't do it here on Facebook, if you're listening to the podcast in any way, shape, or form, you can always contact the show. And yes, I'm trying to increase the traffic to our website, which is www.walkingwithgodradio.com. You can always send me a note. It goes directly to the show's email address. I'll be the one who answers it. You can also listen to past episodes. Again, we'll get the merchandise going soon. And of course, Patreon is something I'm trying not to bother you about, but would be super cool. I would love 2 new patrons for September. We still have 4. I would love 2 more for September. If we grew by 2 a month, that would be super. And again, I'm only asking like $2 a month. You can do more if you feel called to, but $2 a month. I see so many YouTube channels that are just complete garbage and are making thousands. It almost hurts me. So that is my plug for that. Next week is the first time that we've had a show actually on 9/11. So we're going to, of course, be discussing things of that nature, a heavy topic, a difficult topic, but I'm always a big believer that if you do not learn from history, if you don't learn history, you're doomed to repeat history. So I want to make sure that we talk about it on a very difficult anniversary for everyone here in the States. And I would love to know, I'm going to put it on Facebook, but I'd love to know kind of where you were. What do you remember about that day? Because let's be honest, 9/11 is kind of my generation's, where were you like JFK was for the generation before? Everyone remembers where they were when JFK was assassinated. Well, for us, for people of my generation, it's you always remember where you were on 9/11. And I remember it like it was yesterday, seriously, even though it's getting to be, it'll be 17 years come next Tuesday. That's wild. I mean, because I remember it, as I'm sure most of you do too. So I'm going to put that on Facebook. If you want to share your story of where you were on 9/11, we'll talk about it next week. I would love to just kind of go through different experiences because all of ours are going to be different. I will quickly, tell you about my experience, and we'll go from there. But a very important day in this country's history, and I think we would be foolish to not remember it and talk about it and just remember the lives lost and the way that it changed everything, because nothing has been the same since 9/11. So that's going to do it for this episode. Looks like I'm actually 2 minutes early, but we're going to close it out in prayer, and then we'll get you out of here at least a minute early. Look at that. That's efficiency right there. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for another week together. I hope that tonight, just being something a little different for everyone, will be beneficial, just to maybe help ease some of the tension that's out there surrounding some of these very hot topic issues. And Lord, I want people to remember that we need to love on each other. You tell us to do so, and so that's what we need to do. We can disagree, we can have different opinions, we can believe different things, but really, you call us to love each other. And so that's what we're going to do before anything else, before we talk about shoe companies or television networks or games. We need to remember that you tell us to love each other. And so that's what we're going to try and do. Lord, keep everyone safe. Bring everyone back next week, and just keep spreading the word of this show as you see fit. And I hope that it helps. If it helps one person, then mission accomplished. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, everyone. We're on a break for another week. Come back for 9/11 next week, and hopefully we have a good show planned. Thank you all so much again for all your support and everything that you do to help this show. The only thing I'm going to request from you is, if you get a chance, please, please, please just hit share. You don't even have to explain to your friends why you do it. Share this episode and see if we can't get the word out. Thank you. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Tuesday.